Hi, I'm Carl Taylor, and today I want to talk to you about lighting for beauty shots and fashion shots. There are some really nice lighting modifiers available to do that type of photography. There's some that I love using and that I use frequently, and in this episode what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a little bit about these lights, how they work, why they work in a certain way, and then we're going to bring in a model and show you the results of some of these lights using them on the model, different ones, so you can see the different results and different effects. But before we get started, let me start showing you about what's called a parabolic light modifier. Okay, some of you may be familiar with a standard beauty dish, and some of you may be familiar with large softboxes. Now these are lights that are commonly used for portraiture. Beauty dishes are commonly used for close-up beauty shots, cover magazine shots. But more recently, I've been using the Para range from Broncolor, and I love these lights because they've got this fantastic ability to throw a really beautiful sparkly light a very long distance. And that's all down to the parabolic shape. Now, let's have a look at that and what I mean by that. So these three lights, this is Para 88, this is the new Para 133, and this is the Para 222. The numbers just basically relate to the diameter of the light. So this is 2.2 meters, this is 1.3 meters diameter, and this is 88 centimeters diameter. Now, when you look at these lights from the front, they look fairly much like an umbrella, you might think. But when you have a look at them from the side, you'll realize that something is completely different here. And if we look at that from the front, and then I turn it to the side, you'll see just how incredibly deep that light is. And that's because it's a true parabola or parabola shape, which means that the energy from the light is reflected in a very specific way. What happens is that the light from the point of focus, and this is important because you can actually reposition the light in these lights, so you can slide the light in, slide it out to get the best effect. Now, when you position the light at its point of focus, the light emanates out of this parabolic shape in a very unique way, in that it comes out parallel to the axis of symmetry, or along this axis, and it comes out very efficiently, very effectively. And that means that these lights can throw the light a considerable distance because the energy is reflected very efficiently. The other benefit of these, in that you can reposition the light focus point, means that you can cause the reflection of light to come out stronger in some areas of the reflector compared to other areas. So when it's in the outer position, more of the light is reflected off the edge panels here, and when it's in the inner position, it acts more like a hard light source. So you can distribute the contrast, if you like, change the contrast of the light by moving that. And I'm going to show you that in a little bit more detail in a moment. Just pop round the back of this light, careful not to trip over that Scoro pack, but if you pop round the back of this light, you'll just see how incredibly deep that light is. You can see the depth of it all the way from here down to here, which when you're looking at the front, you don't realize actually how deep those lights are. And it's that depth, depth on the parabolic shape that is what's giving it its unique characteristics and qualities. So first of all, let's have a look at what happens when we focus that light source. Let's have a look at how the reflections change. Now, to do this, we're going to have to just quickly set up the camera on a tripod so that you can see exactly what goes on. So let's just go and get that set up. Okay, so Tim's now got the camera set up on the tripod so that you can see this light accurately from the center point. I'm just going to turn a couple of these other studio lights off because they will be a little bit misleading otherwise. So let me just get rid of a couple of those. Okay, now what the cameraman's going to have to do is stop the lens down on the camera so that you can just see the brightness level a little bit more accurately. So let me know once you've stopped that down. Okay, good, right. So basically what you'll see now is you should see that the outer panels of this Para 222 have got the hot spots. They've got the brightest parts of light around the outer edge, the diameter of the light. And that's with the light in the fully extended position. Now this is where a parabolic light like the 222 is a little bit of a paradox, because traditionally a large light source should give you a soft light. But what you get with the Para 222, you are getting a large light source, but effectively you're not getting one large light source, you're getting lots and lots of individual small light sources spread around a big circle. And that gives you a very unique quality of light that's especially suited to fabrics and fashion work, beauty work, that sort of stuff, because it gives a really nice sparkle, and I really love using this light for that type of work. Now, the versatility of this light comes with that focusing rod. Let's have a look what happens when we push this focusing rod in. So I'm just going to hold on to the Para and I'm just going to slide that in. And as I slide it in, you'll see the shape of the reflection change quite dramatically. Now we've got a very concentrated sunlight-like ball of light there in the center. And then as I pull it back out again, you'll see more of the Para light sort of filled up generally there. And then as I pull it back out to its furthest point, you should see just the outer edges of the light being the brightest part. Now I found when using this light that in the central position, when the rod's about halfway in, you get the majority of the parabola filled with light, which generally seems to give me the softest light. But I like using the light in the fully outer position because you get that lovely quality of that rim of light going around the edge of the light. But you can also use it in the high contrast position when you push the light right into the center. When you do push the light right into the center, you're intensifying the brightness of the light, so you usually have to stop your lens down by about 1.5 stops to compensate. So what you're seeing happening there on the big Para, if we take the camera off the tripod again now, Tim, and if you follow me around to the back, you'll see that central focusing rod here. And I'll just have to go up this ladder, and that central focusing rod should be operated from here. So basically you pull the rod like so, and it's got markers on it telling you, if I can turn it there we go, numbers, so you know what setting. So at about 5, it should illuminate a broader area of the Para. At 0, or fully out, is going to be the outer edge diameter illuminated. Now on the Para 133 that we've got over here, it's exactly the same process. You basically got a central rod that you pull in and out, the light attaches on here, and remember that this attachment here comes with different attachments, so you can fit different brands of light onto these modifiers. So it's not just the Broncolor lights that can go on here, you can put other manufacturer brands onto here as well. So that's how it works on the Para 133. There's also a Para 177, and believe it or not, there's a Para 3.3, I think, a huge 3.3 diameter one, bigger than this one here. And then on the smaller Para 88, similar process, slightly different design on the rod, just pulling it out here, and the same thing is happening, as you can see, inside there. So that's how they work. They've all got the true parabolic shape, and that allows them to project that light in that very special way. So what we really need to see now is see them in action and see the results of these lights, what they look like when they're used on a model, and what they're like compared to maybe other more traditional lights like a beauty dish and like a softbox. Okay, we're ready to start our test. First light we're going to do is this beauty dish. Now this actually is not the Broncolor beauty dish. This is a 70 centimeter diameter independent beauty dish. The reason for it actually is I'm not a big fan of the Broncolor beauty dish. It's a little bit smaller, it's a 50 centimeter and it's white. And also because the Broncolor Para 88 makes such a great beauty dish, that's why I don't really bother with the Broncolor beauty dish. But I've got this 70 centimeter independent beauty dish that we're going to test. Got camera set up here ready. This is our lovely model Jessica, who's kindly agreed to be our model for these tests. And over here I've got a white poly board, and this is just to bounce a little bit of light because we've got a very harsh lighting set up here because it's just a single light source And we've got the light source at about 10, 12 feet away from the model. And this white polyboard is just going to fill in some of the dark shadow side by bouncing a little bit of light back in. So I'll keep that in for each test. We're going to run through the Beauty Dish, the Para 88, the Para 133, maybe even the Satellite Staro, and the softbox. We're going to throw that in the mix as well, and also bring the big Para 222 in so you can see what that's like. But the big Para 222 won't be able to go up high in that position. It's not designed to do that. So all the other lights I'm going to put into exactly the same spot, same position. But when we come to use the 222, I'm going to put it in the position of how you should use a 222 Para. Okay, let's get started. First shot. These are going to be pretty much full length shots on Jessica. And let me just check my focus. Looks good. And I'm going to get Jessica to keep the same pose for every shot so that we can demonstrate a uniform result for each different light. Okay, so next light is in position, Para 88 up there. And the difference with the Para 88 is obviously we've got the central focusing rod. That means I can pull the light in and out. So I'm going to do an out position, a mid position, and an in position for each shot. So you can also see the differences on the focusing position of the light in the Para. So let's get started. So I'm going to move the central focusing rod to about the mid position, which is about there. We'll do another test shot on that. So I've just moved the focusing rod in, but that increases the strength of the light output coming out of the light. So I'm going to have to reduce the power of the light slightly to compensate. So that last shot was the Para 88 with the light right in its central position. Very harsh, contrasty light now, almost like a tiny point light source. And because of that, I've had to reduce the power of the light. So we were at power 6, and I'm now at power 5.5. So I had to drop the light by a stop and a half because of that rod moving right in, concentrating the beam of light. So we had to drop the power down on that one. Okay, so that's the Para 133 up in position now. Bigger light, should be a little bit softer than the Para 88. I've got the light in the outer position, so let's get a test. I think it'll be about there somewhere. We go. Okay, so I've got the Satellite Staro in position now. This is quite a specialist light. This is, it's got a silver inner reflector, and then it's got a sheet of transparent or semi-transparent perspex on the front to give a lovely diffused glow and a beautiful round highlight in the eyes. But using it at this distance is still going to be quite a hard light source, but it should be a little bit softer than the other ones that we've used. One other point to mention with the Paras that I haven't mentioned is they also can have an optional front diffuser put on them. So you can actually use them like a softbox as well. So again, that makes them even more versatile than a Beauty Dish because you've got the different focusing positions of the rod, plus you've got the option to put a diffuser on the front, turn it into a softbox too. Okay, on with the Satellite Staro. Okay, so 150 centimetre diameter octabox this time. Very economical softbox. Let's see what we get with that one. Okay, so we've got the big 222 Para in. Love this light, amazing light. Now you use this light, notice how we haven't hooked it right up high there, because it's so big, this is how you use it. You shoot from in front of it, with it directly behind you, lined up perfectly with your model. So it's literally shot straight directional towards your model, and you can stand in front of it. It's such a big light source that you don't really block it, so you can just basically shoot like this and the light will go around, hit the model perfectly. Now you can use it off to one side. I have used it on many shoots with it off to one side, left, right, up and down a little bit. but generally speaking, for you know, most purposes, it's used in this fashion. So let's get a shot like this. Just going to line up there. Okay, so I'm now going to push the light source in, go to the mid position, and I'm just going to double check that. I mean, that should be on about number 5 at the back here. Let me just get that lined up and focused. There we go. Okay, so I'm just going to pull the light all the way into its closest position, which will really increase the strength of the beam, which means I'm going to have to turn the light down in power, which I'm just going to do now. That's probably blinding poor Jessica at the moment. And we'll now get another shot. Just going to have to get you to move, Tim. And right, so that is all of the tests done on the different lights for a 3/4 sort of full length body shot. Now we're going to just take a quick break, time for a cup of tea, because Jessica's been overworked there. She clearly had to do way too much modelling. So we're just going to take a quick break, and then we're going to set these up for head and shoulder beauty shots with each of the same lights and the same run through. So here we've got all the results side by side, so you can draw your comparisons. Following this, we've got close-up details on each result with the head and shoulders and the full body. So here's the 70cm beauty dish, which we'll use as our sort of baseline standard, if you like. And at the end, I'll draw a comparison between this particular light and a couple of the other results. Next, we've got the Para 88 in the extended position, which is giving us a slightly softer result than the beauty dish, but still with a nice level of contrast. Then the contrast increases as we put the Para 88 into the mid position, and then increases further as we put it into the in position. Notice the change in the lighting on the floor, the shadows on the floor, the contrast on the floor, and the amount of light reaching and hitting the background with each of these modifiers. Then the 133 in the extended position, which was probably my favourite light. It gave a really beautiful, soft but sparkly light at the same time, a good level of contrast, and I felt this was you know, one of the better lights out of all the modifiers. Then we've got the mid position on the 133, and then the in position with the higher contrast on the 133 as well. The Satellite Starro, an interesting effect with that light. And again, the different quality of light from the Satellite Starro. If you compare it with the shadow on the floor, the level of contrast, but then look at the quality of the light on the face, the hair, you'll see there is a unique difference with each of these modifiers. The Octabox, a little bit wishy-washy for me by comparison, a little bit too soft. The Para 222 in the extended position is obviously a different effect because the light is coming front on our model. It gives quite a unique characteristic by using it that way, as demonstrated in the video. This is it in the extended position. And then we have it in the in position, the mid position as well. And then following the mid position, we've got it in the in position with that great increase in contrast. Well, let's go back to the beauty dish and just use this as a baseline. Look at the shadow on the floor and look at the level of contrast and lighting on the face, the shadow under the jaw and the shadow on the neck area there, and also the highlights in the hair. Now, if we compare this light to the Para 133, I think the 133 has got a greater contrast in the shadow and the face, a greater punch, yet the shadow on the floor is softer. And this is interesting because this is where the unique characteristics of the parabolic light come into play, because we've got the strength of light, that directional focus of light hitting the face and giving that beautiful punch and contrast, but then those outer petals, if you like, of the parabolic 133, still giving some soft lights. So it's almost like two lights combined into one when it's here in the mid position compared to the Beauty dish. So this is where the Para 133 or all the Para lights are quite unique because of that ability to refocus the light. You can almost create sort of two light sources out of one modifier. And then obviously you've got the optional extra of putting a front diffuser on it if you wanted as well to soften it even further. The Beauty dish again, and let's just flick between Beauty dish 133, Beauty dish 133. And you can just see by us flicking. Then you got the extended position, which is a bit softer. And let's compare that to the softbox, because the softbox looks very milky and very wishy-washy compared to the Para 133. I felt the 133 in the extended position was a much stronger contender than the softbox, which you can see flicking between the two here. Okay, so Jessica's back in the same position. Going to start off with the 222 light because it's there from the last one. I've just switched to a longer focal length lens because I'm just doing sort of beauty head and shoulder shots now for the next series of tests. And basically for most of the lights, they're going to be a lot closer to Jessica, just overhead in a sort of Beauty dish lighting position. Obviously I can't do that with this one, so I'm just shooting this one in the same position but with the longer focal length lens. Okay, just get that focus on your eyes, that's good. Okay, so the Para light into the central position. Focus. Exposure's good. Now we're going to move the Para light into the closest position. So I'm just going to get this in position into what I would call a standard sort of Beauty dish lighting position. Now basically what I want to do is maintain the ability to shoot from slightly above, just looking down into Jessica's eyes. So there's good, so my light isn't going to clip the shot, so that's about right. And ordinarily in this setup you would use a reflector underneath here because you'll get quite a lot of too much shadow. So I'm just going to put a tri-reflector in for all of these shots as well, just to light it as you would for this type of lighting setup. Just look up there. So this basically just puts a little bit of fill under the chin, take the harshness of the shadow away. How far away you have the tri-reflector will obviously affect the amount of fill that you have. You've also got on a tri-reflector, you've got these side ones that you can bring in to illuminate back up onto the side of the face. I'm not going to include those so much for this shot because I don't really need them. I just want to see more what the effect of the actual light is doing with just a little bit of fill under the chin. To take away the dark shadow when we're on the harshest of lights. You don't need to use a tri-reflector. You can use a white piece of foam board. You can use a silver round reflector. You can use whatever reflector you want, but we'll just keep that same reflector in position there for each lighting test to keep it uniform and the same. Okay, so we've got 150 centimeter Octabox softbox and a reflector. Take the shot. Satellite Staro next. Oops. Right. Okay, let's have a look at that. So that was the 133 in the out position. Just going to slide the focusing rod to the mid position. Okay, so Para 88 in the out position with the central focusing rod in its furthest extended position. Just get the focus. Oops, sorry Jessica, lost my focus then. That's it. Not the nicest light for beauty light when you've got the para in that position. It's okay, I find, from the mid position to the out position, but when you've got it in its strongest position, pulled in, it's not a great beauty light. Anyway, that's the Para 88 test done. Up a bit. Okay, so we've got the beauty dish, 70 centimetre in position. Final shot of these tests. Focus on Jessica. Get the shot. See if we've got the right exposure. And we haven't, it's too dark, so I've got to say all that again. Okay, so that's all the tests done. All the lights run through there. Thank you very much, Jessica. Brilliant job. And we'll bring up the results and let you guys see the effects of each of those lights. So here's all the results side by side, so you can draw your comparisons. And then we'll run through each shot individually, and I'm going to shut up now actually and just let you look at them. So here's the 70 centimetre beauty dish again, just drawing a comparison to the 133, which I think was my favourite light of all. The softbox looks really good at this distance, but it doesn't have the sparkle of the 133. And I think because the 133 also has the ability to put the front diffuser on it, I think the 133 is going to give you the most versatility. So from a beauty lighting perspective, that extra contrast and that extra punch of the 133 made it a very versatile light. Anyway, let's take a look at these lights in action on an actual photo shoot, and I'll talk you through what's going on in the process that I'm using them here. So here I've got the Para 222 with a beauty dish in front of it, and this combination allows me to use the 222 as my main light source, but just adding a little extra kick of light onto the upper body, face, hair area by using the beauty dish as well. So basically you can see the Para 222 there, and then you can see, or you will see the beauty dish just in front, adding that extra kick of light onto the model. And then there was a background light as well on the background. Okay, here I've got all Para lights. I've got an 88, a 133, and the 222. You can watch the full video at that URL below here, or on our website. Now, my setup for this was the 133 is the main key light on these shots. It's up there at the top left there, you can see it on the screen. The Para 222 was a shadow fill, and the 88 Para was just to highlight the clothes a little bit more. So there's the results of the Para 133 as the key light from up above on my right hand side from my shooting position, with the Para 222 as a shadow fill. And then the next shot is the lighting setup where I had the Para 222 as the main light, but with an extra bit of kick from the beauty dish just for the head and the hair area, and that gave that result. So I hope you enjoyed that, hope you found that useful. Thanks very much for watching. For more great photography tips from beginner level right through to pro level, then check out our website, carltaylorphotography.com.